So I have been having a craving for key lime pie recently, and I'm going to make the key lime pie recipe out of this book, Table Manners, that features Jessie Ware and her mother. Um, and the recipe is called Ode to Nora Key Lime Pie. And it's just a handful of ingredients, and so today I'm going to walk you through the construction of this key lime pie. So the first thing that you need to do is buy a set of cookies. These are rich tea cookies. It's preferable if you have access to either like a British grocery store or an Indian grocery store. You can easily find one of these, stacks of pop knobs, and you want 300 grams, and this is exactly 300 grams. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is putting these cookies in a food processor. That's the easiest way to do it. If you have a lot of aggression to take out, you can certainly put this in a plastic bag and then take a rolling pin, a hammer, your fist, whatever, and pound on the cookies. But I don't feel like making a mess, so we're going to do it this way. All right, easy enough. Then we're going to add melted butter to that. You need 100 grams of melted butter, which is just a little less than a stick of butter. All right, so that should be combined. And now what we're going to do is, in a spring-forward pan, we're going to basically mold the crust with these two things. Since there's some butter left in this pan, I'm going to use this to just give a very brief coat of butter into the pan. Now, if you don't have a springform pan, you can use just like a glass, like a Pyrex dish or whatever. I certainly have made this in that type of contraption, so that's what you have. Certainly use that then. Again, as you can probably tell, if you've watched my other videos, I don't believe that everything in baking is set in stone. I definitely think that there is flexibility. You just have to know where the variation can be and where the variation cannot be. But okay. So I'm gonna just dump all of these crumbs into this dish, and then hopefully I'll be able to form the crust by pushing it down. I would say this is the hardest part of the recipe. Takes the most patience. You may not feel like it's gonna work out, but somehow it always does. All right. I'm going to use my fingers first, because that's going to be the easiest thing. And as you can probably tell, there's a lot of different variations that you could do when it comes to the crust. Here I'm using just a simple cookie for my crust, but you could imagine you could use like an oatmeal cookie, you could use, a different type of cookie is going to provide a different experience here. So if you're looking for variations on the key lime pie, that's one place that you could, investigate is trying out different cookies and seeing what you like and what you don't like. All right. So, okay. So now we have our crust that's created, and now I'm going to bake it in the oven for 10 minutes at 355 degrees. Okay, so now we have the crust, and I'm going to bake this in the oven for 10 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 180 Celsius. So the next part, the key lime pie, really focuses on the limes. And you want to have about 6 limes, nice, healthy looking limes. And the first task to do with the limes is to zest them. And it's a bit of a manual labor task, but this will really bring out a lot of the flavor of the lime when we incorporate it into the cake, or the pie, rather. Okay, so now that the limes are all zested, the next thing that we'll need to do is juice the limes. So I have this nice little juicer. You could use whatever device that you have. If you don't have anything, you can certainly use, your hands, and just squeeze the juice out. But I prefer to use this device because it's nice and it's convenient and functional. But use whatever you have. So let's give this one more squeeze. I'm going to use a different squeezer now. Sometimes there's just some residual juice that still lingers in the limes. So I'm going to use this device now to see if I can get any more out. Okay, so as you can see, we have roughly about a cup of fresh lime juice and certainly a few tablespoons of fresh lime zest. This is the most laborious part of the whole construction of the pie. Um, but it's really important to get as much as you can get out of the limes because that will really infuse the flavors of the pie. So now that we have these two things separated out, the last thing that I need to do before we put everything together is separate out the eggs. Okay, so the last task that we have to do in this preparation is separate out our eggs. I have 4 eggs here, and this recipe only requires the yolks. So I'm going to be putting the whites in a container, and I'll probably make an omelet or something with them tomorrow. I would say one thing that really drives me crazy is food waste in general. And, you know, some people may think or may want to just throw out the whites because this recipe doesn't really require them. But know that if you just put the whites in a container, they're going to be fine for tomorrow morning. Just use them then. Some other things that you could do with the egg whites, you know, for instance, you could make meringues. Meringues are quite easy to make. You know, you'll need to have, you know, a good mixer in order to get them quite fluffy, unless you have the capacity to to do that exercise by hand. But meringues are great. I tend to just stick with omelets. Um, but just think about like anytime you are preparing a meal and it requires only one part of something, ask yourself whether whether you can retain that part and use it for something else. No need to add to the food waste. Okay, so now we have it separated out, and now we're going to start putting everything together. So this is how the crust turned out. Um, and let me just put this here. Now let's put everything together. In a bowl, I'm going to first put in the egg yolks. And to that, I'm going to be adding a can of condensed milk. Last time I made this recipe, I accidentally forgot to put in this can, and it really changed the recipe, and it was not nearly as pleasant. So this recipe does not have a lot of ingredients, and every ingredient matters. So don't forget. So we're going to add a can of condensed milk, an opener to fully open the can to get the condensed milk to come out. Okay. So what we're going to do is whisk these two ingredients together just until they're fully incorporated. Okay, so from there, I have 150 milliliters of whipping cream. And what is that in cups? It's roughly a half of a cup of whipping cream. If you have, full cream or whatever kind of cream that you have, you're going to add that to it. Then we're going to add the lime juice. As well as the majority of the lime zest. You can keep some as a reserve for decoration. So I would say keep 10% or so. Just mix everything together. I probably should have used a larger bowl, but that's already been used for a different project that I made today. So this is what I'm stuck with. Okay, let me check the recipe one last time. So we have everything. So now I'm going to put this mixture into the pre-baked crust. And this is going to bake for about 15 minutes. And then it's going to sit in the fridge for a few hours before it's completely ready. So I wanted to show you what the pie looks like after 1 hour in the fridge. I think that it needs a few more hours in the fridge. It's still a little bit wobbly, but it's getting closer to being settled. So as I suggested before, that you leave some of the zest aside for some decoration. And when it comes to the pie, you could do one of two things. You can leave the pie as is and sprinkle the zest just on top of the pie. That way, it's very clear that this is a key lime pie. The other thing that you can do with this pie, and I'm not going to do it because I ran out of heavy whipping cream, is you could make whipped cream. And then you could decorate this with whipped cream and then drizzle or sprinkle rather the lime zest on top of the whipped cream. So whichever way you want to have it is totally up to you. But I do think having some extra zest on top of the pie really does make it even more attractive. So a few days have passed since I made the key lime pie, and I have been enjoying it almost every day. The lime really comes through in the pie. I shared it with a few of my friends, which they really enjoyed the pie. And so if you end up trying it yourself, I would love to know how it turns out for you. And as always, I really appreciate when you like the videos, when you subscribe, and when you share my videos and my recipes with other people. I hope you have a good day.